So good morning all. In today's session, two different sessions are there where we are going to see the data visualization technique. The first part of visualization will be focusing on the single dimensional data analysis, data visualization, that is the array and list visualization or any other like tuple also. We'll see how to visualize that data with common different kind of graphs. And in second session, we'll talk about data frame based visualization, where you're going to have multi-dimensional data. When you have multiple features, then how to use that data. Okay, sir, my voice is audible clearly, is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Thank you, sir. So let's start with the first one. We'll talk about some theoretical concept behind visualization. Why visualization? What are the types of it? Why do actually or where we actually perform data visualization, that we will see, and then we'll start with the univariate visualization, where single array is used to visualize, and many different kind of graphs are there by which we can identify uh, which kind of graph will be used at what particular kind of time. That also we will see, and then we'll check out the practical part after this. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So visualization. What is visualization? So it's a representation of data in the pictorial or the graphical format. Pictorial and graphs. Two things are there. Like you might be heard about key pictures says more than words. If you want to summarize the something, if you want to summarize something, any event or the data, the graphical method, image or pictures will perfectly summarize it. Most of the time, visualization is called as a pre-processing technique, and it's a post-processing technique also. What was present before machine learning and what is present after machine learning, that we can compare with the help of visualization. Okay, and by which it's a summary of all, rather than using the data statistically, we can summarize graphically, and it will be more clear. Two advantages are there from data analyst point of view. uh, the data structure inside the data, trends pattern inside the data can be easily seen before and after. Okay, and second is that whenever the project, when you're going to do the project of data analytics, and you have to tell the analysis of that particular data on your project to the client, so they will better know the data visualization technique. By visualization, by graph, they will understand. They will not understand mathematically. Okay, you will tell them, yeah, mathematically the concept is like that, what I have done, this is my input, this is the output, and that's it, what I got. But if you show them practically in graphical format, that will be creating more impact on the clients. Fine, that's why it's important to know data visualization, and many different techniques are there. As per our understanding, we need to use that graph. So in this first session, first is a theory session, in that we'll talk about lot many different ways, common ways basically, by which data can be visualized, and why and when to use this kind of the graph, that also we will see. So most of the time when you want to do the research in data science or data analytics, so we need to include these graphical visualization structures. So we can make use of these techniques in Python, by which the data can be visualized, and then we can put that as a part of research, or even so those who are reading your research papers, they can easily understand what exactly you've done by looking at the graphs. So visualization enabled decision makers to see analytics presented visually, so they can grasp difficult concept difficult concept. So basically, what we are learning, how the data model is created. Data model means we are identifying the concepts which are present inside the data, and based on that, we creating model of the data. So most of the time, the mathematical technique are not sufficient to identify the things present in the data. So graphical technique will help you to do the same thing. Difficult concept grasping is possible, or identify the new patterns, what pattern data carrying. So based on different kind of graph, different kind of pattern, different kind of trends that can be seen in the data set. So in interactive visualization, we can take the concept a step further using technology to drill down the charts and graphs for more detail, interactively changing what data you see and how it can be processed. Okay, so uh, it can be called as I told, it can be called as data pre-processing step also. So rather than describing, just like yesterday we have seen a describe function by which you have seen the summary of all the data. So same summary we can put in the graphical format also. It can be more clear. So you don't have to look at the number. Yeah, compare this number, that number. Like no, graphically in a single summary of the images, we can identify what pattern are present, and even you can compare also. Okay, that's what main advantage that we can get it from here. So with so much information being collected through data analysis, the business world today, we must have to way to paint a picture of data so we can interpret. So interpretation of data is the first advantage of using visualization, and we can paint a picture. Yes, this is my data, so I can show graphical format. So painting of that picture of data is possible by this. Visualization gives us a clear idea of what information means by giving visual context through maps and graphs. Maps and graphs. You can tell, okay, I'm here. See, I just you can tell, okay, I'm just standing over here at this particular point and this particular front of the part of the road particularly. But instead of that, you can show the map. On that map, I am present over here, so you can easily identify that. Yeah, what is the current location? Because now we are familiar with the maps on the graphical format also. So this is how the clear idea of information is given by the visualization. And most important thing, why visualization? So this makes the data more natural than human mind to comprehend, and therefore make it easier to identify. Three things: trend, pattern, and outliers. What is the trend pattern? So natural, it's a natural tendency basically from the human point of view that we can, whatever you see, okay, that's fit in mind very easily than whatever you read. Remember, this is this is proven by the scientists also. Remember, that's what I said, picture says more than words. That's why data visualization is important. The three things I mentioned over here: trained inside the data. What trains are there? So you can revise the machine learning definition. Trained inside the data is identified, and based on that you are going to build a model of it. Fine. So trained identification is done here. Second, pattern. This is in case of unsupervised learning. Unsupervised learning is the machine learning type where the patterns are checked only. So we can find a pattern. Yeah, what the groups are there? What sort of pattern, connectivity the data is having, that we can find. And the third, that is outliers. We'll see the graphically how to detect that. Outliers are the things which are far away from the crowd, that can be detected easily with the graphical visualization. Let's just like you can check the one class of students are there, so almost 60 students are there in the class, and only two students, okay, all students have got marks between 40 to 70, and two students have got the marks above 90. Two students are above 90 and all others are 40 to 70. So that two students are called as outliers. They don't follow the properties of crowd. Where the crowd is located, 40 to 70, and they are above 90. So they are far away from the crowd. This is called an outlier. So most of the time, outliers can skew the results of data modeling when you build a machine learning model that time. So it's required to detect and remove the outliers. So multiple methods are there. Some statistical methods are present, and some graphical methods are also there. So graphical method is like a box plot. I'll show that one. So using that kind of the plots, we can detect the outliers, and you can remove the outliers also. So these are the advantages of data visualization. Train pattern and outlier detection can be done easily. So before outlier and after deleting outliers, that comparison we can do with the data visualization. In clustering techniques also, uh, clustering is very commonly used unsupervised learning technique, machine learning technique. And in that you create the groups of the data. So if you want to visualize that group, so we'll be making use of some kind of the plots like scatter plots there. So trend, pattern, and outliers. Trend are basically used in time series analysis. If something is changing according to time, many things are changing according to time. Okay, cost of something like cost the cost of rupees per dollar or dollar per rupee something. It's changing according to time, according to many more factors. We can visualize that how it's changing. If you want to check the linear regression, so we can draw a line. We can draw relationship between x and y in the form of a line, and after that we can build a linear regression model, and then we can do the predictive analytics onto it. This is what common ideas are there which are used from data visualization. Now, what are the benefits of data visualization? Many are there. Out of it, 5, 6 I have summarized over here. The first, correlation in relationships can be identified. So basically, the concept is correlation. It's a statistical method by which the collinearity, correlation is okay, it's collinearity between two different variables can be found. So there are many methods like Pearson correlation, Spearman correlation, Candles correlation techniques are there. They are statistical technique, but rather than using it, I can visualize the data and I can see what correlation two variables are having. I can use a line plots. You can see they are incremental, they are decremental, inverse direction, or they are constant. Okay, means strong correlation, weak correlation, or strong negative correlation is there that we can find. So most of the time when linear models are present, linear machine learning models we have, linear regression, logistic regression, support vector machine is there, polynomial. Uh, so these regression models or these kind of machine learning models can have the data in linear format. So if you want to check the linearity between them, graphs are used. Second, trained over the time. This is what I told about the time series analysis. Time series analysis is the method of data modeling where the data is stored according to time. So on this month, what was the sale? On next month, you have to identify month sale, month sale. So month is the time, and sale is your output variable. So if you plot it, you can see that up and downs are there, or some incremental progress is there. It's called time series analysis. So if you want to uh, identify that trend, so you can find that trend according to time with the help of the data visualization methods. Okay, trend over the time tells us where we were and where we can potentially go. Okay, in this year, from last 3 years, my sale is like that. Now, what will happen in future? Okay, so analysis, time series analysis can be done with the help of the graphic visualization. The frequency, most important. Probability distribution. Okay, if you heard about it, probability distribution. Okay, what's the probability that data is in this area, this region, sorry, this range? What's the probability in second range, third range, fourth range? The probabilities and their distribution can be visualized with the help of a graph. Might be if you're knowing histogram. Okay, it's used in image processing also. So histogram is a frequency plot by which the trend over the time in terms of frequency can be seen. Okay, how frequent the number of elements are present in this range, that range, next range, like that. Okay, this is called as frequency. Next is, okay, many more advantages apart from actual visualization. We can examine the market trend. Nowadays, lot many tools are available to create the dashboards. You might have heard about dashboard. Dashboard is the summary of all kind of data present in the graphical format in a single picture. That's what we call as the dashboard. So on dashboards, we can take different kind of information from different market, and they will give you insights into which audiences focus attention on, and which one to stay away from. We can identify where we are progressing, where decreasing, and where you have to need a focus on, where you have to close it, where you have to start it, like all that we can do. So we get a clearer picture of opportunities within those markets by displaying this data on various charts and graphs. Okay. Next, risk and reward. So looking at the value and risk metrics. Okay, so statistical metrics are there that require expertise, because without data visualization, we must interpret complicated spreadsheet and numbers. Complicated spreadsheet, CSV files that you get data, complicated, too much variations are there. To identify, extract the useful information, okay, we can make visualization methods here. So once information is visualized, we can then pinpoint areas where we may or may not require the action, where you have to focus on, where your direction should be there, all that things we can find. And one more, reacting to the market. So they are taken from the business point of view. So whenever we used to do the project, most of the project which are done under now data science is a part of business intelligence. They use their business data to improve the business, or to create business strategies, or to spread out their business and different areas, like business intelligence. So there we actually focus on visualization methods, and by which you can identify where you have to focus on, where the market requirements are, where the customer requirements are, what customer needs, where customer is giving negative feedback, where customer is giving positive feedback, like all summary of it we can see. And based on that, business improvement strategies are defined by the company. They are the common visualization methods are there. Many more are possible, but common visualization advantages that we can get it here as per your need, requirement, necessities. We can take the advantage of data visualization there. Okay, and now what are the techniques used? Many techniques. I'll show a few of the graphs which are used for visualization as a part of data analytics. Very strong data analytics is done with the help of these techniques here. So infographic, if you have heard about it, infographic is a summary of different kind of data, just like a dashboard. we have infographic. So unlike data with single data visualization, infographic take an extensive collection of information and gives you a comprehensive visual representation of multiple different sets, multiple different kind of data that we can have. And infographic is excellent for exploring complex and high subjective topics. Complexity can be removed, and common comparison, analysis, visualization of different kind of data can be seen in single picture of it. Infographic or heat map visualization, this is very interesting technique. Heat map visualization, heat map means, see, again, picture, in picture we remember the colors. See, according to intensity of color, you can check the intensity of that data. Very dark, dark, what we call as green, orange and red. Orange is somewhat light red, that's why orange is not that much dangerous. It is dangerous but not that much. That's why you call it red alert. Red alert means high risk is there. Orange, risk is there but somewhat less than the red. And according to color intensity you can identify, okay, it's red but light red, light color is there. And after that we have a green color, so green means you are safe. So this color combination and intensity combination can be used to check the data and its volume, its magnitude present, and that will be presented with the help of the colors, which is called as heat map visualization. Very commonly used nowadays, it's available. I'll show that heat map visualization in the second part of data visualization, where you're going to see data frame there. Okay, this method uses a graph with numerical data points highlighted in light or warm colors to indicate whether the data is high value or low value. Okay, like for example, I want to show data from 0 to 100, okay, in a red color. So if data is 100, so dark red will be there. If 50% red, 50% white, like light red will be there. 25%, again intensity will be reduced. So rather than looking the number, you can check the color intensity and identify, yes, where high intensity is there, that this value is very high, and where low is there, the value is very low. So this is a psychological part. Psychologically, this data visualization method help the viewer to identify the information, because studies have shown that the human interpret colors better than numbers and letters. Yes. Okay. Rather than reading, visualization is great. And other than visualization, color implementation, or instead of numbers, we can use color implementation, by which you can identify the intensity of that number, high value of that number particular. This is heat map visualization. This technique is also used, and many more are there. We are having fever charts, changing data over a period of time, then area chart, the amount of area covered by the particular graph, you can show with the help of area chart, or histogram, which is called as the frequency plot. Okay, how frequent elements are there, so we'll talk about that also, how to create the histogram in Python, and what techniques, measurements are that also we'll see in step by step. Okay, now these are the type of graphs, many are there. Specifically by the name we can check the graphs and how they are used. So who uses data visualization? So I have given my experience here from the industrial point of view. This method is used across all the industries to increase sales with existing customers and target new market and demographic for potential customers. All industries. It's not like only this part is using. Almost everywhere. See, in social media also, if you talk about, if you're having your YouTube channel, they shows complete analysis of your data, where the traffic is coming, where how many number of viewers are they, increasing, decreasing, how many subscriptions are there, how many number of viewers, videos, how many comments, how many likes, visually they will be shown. Or if you're going to have a page on Facebook, so they also show the analytics there. What is the reach of customers, so what kind of customers are reached. If you do done the Facebook advertisement, so which kind of people has reacted to advertisement, from 20 to 30 age, 30 to 40 age, 40 to 50 age, or which gender, male or female, has responded. Okay, like all visualization that's showing, because general customer knows the visualization, they will identify the data through visualization, that's why it's using over there. A crucial step in data analytics, data visualization gives companies critical insight into untapped information and messages that would otherwise be lost. Yes, perfect. We don't need lakhs of entries. Okay, it's there, but how do I interpret it? If I given that information to customer, this is your data. Look at it. No. So we use visualize format. Then only it can be understood easily. So the days of scoring through thousands of rows of spreadsheets are over. And now we have visual summary of data to identify trends and patterns present inside the data that you have collected, or we are already having the data with use. Fine. Visualization. Okay. Now let's see the matplotlib. Okay, before matplotlib, just a minute. Wait a minute. We'll see the common visualization techniques here, and then we'll go for practical implementation of it. Common graphs, when, why, and how to use them. This is very important question to ask for. Just a minute. See this, yes. Types of graphs that we use: column chart, bar, stack bar, area, dual axis, line by pie, waterfall, scatter plot, histogram, funnel, and heat map. See that. Let's take an overview of them and what possibilities are there inside this graph. That also I'll show. Possibilities, modified graphs are there that we can use. And two Python packages we are having: matplotlib and seaborn. In both, same graphs are there, but the common graphs I'll not show. I'll show common graphs in matplotlib and advanced graphs in the seaborn package there. So bar graph, we know they are the among most frequently used type of the charts. We know bars are shown. So, as the name suggests, the chart is composed of series of bars illustrating variables development. Given the bar chart, such as a common chart type, people are generally familiar with them and can understand them so easily. Easy to read. Fine. That's why these bar charts are used very commonly. You can see this one. This is what total revenue per year, okay, is shown here in millions for a particular company. Then 14, it was 81 million, 15, 86, 91, 103, and 109. Like, can check. One variable can be seen, but bar chart contains many abilities by which you can observe it. Bar graph. Okay. Maybe sometime it can be confusing, especially if one uses them to compare several variables. I'm showing single variable only. I have not done the comparison. Okay. So comparison can also be done in that multiple different ways are there. This is what we call as the stacked bar chart. Multiple bar charts, not stacked. I'll say stacked one. Multiple bar chart. This is a fiction book sales are given for a particular company. This is gross earning, and here you can see five kind of bars are there for every year. Multiple bar charts. 2006, five different kind of books like young adult, classics, mystery, romance, sci-fi, fantasy, like how they are changing and which books are there in demand every year. See, you can see romance is in demand every year. Second number is mystery every year. Okay. Then third number is young and adult almost, but plus minus are there with the classics also here and here also. Fine. So at a time multiple element can also be compared. And when to use it. Bar charts are nice, but they are having limited usage. We have to consider the type of data we want to visualize and number of variables that will be added to the chart. How many variables you have to add? They are great when we want to track the development of one or two variable over the time. Time in terms of years I have given, in terms of weeks, in terms of months, in terms of days, we can use it there. Fine. Just like the example I've shown here, the most frequent application of bar charts, corporate presentation to show how company total revenue is developed over the time. Now, multiple variable which I've seen already for that company. For two companies are there, A and B. I can compare it. Now we can see, observe it. B company has crossed A company revenue in 2016. It was less year, somewhat greater, 1 million only, then 2 million, then 11 million. Improvement is there. That we can compare. And this is called a stacked bar chart. In single chart itself, we can say the share of multiple things. Share of multiple things. Can check it out. Stacked bar chart. Also possible. Okay. Bar. So very commonly, we'll see that bar chart in the first session itself. Then second is pie chart. We know that pie chart shows the data in the form of the slices. Larger the size, bigger the portion of total quantity it represents. Out of 100%, what is the percentage of area covered by it? Remember, that is what pie chart is. Pie charts are best suitable for depicting section of the whole. And see, if company operates in three different divisions at the year end, so top management would interested to see what portion of total revenue each division accounted for. See this. These are industrial applications. That's what I've used over here. Like 52% share of total revenue is there from division B, 13% from division A, and 44% from division C. Share among all, whatever numbers are there. But if we add them together, and what's the share of every individual element, that can be visualized with the help of the pie chart, like that. Okay, so obviously we can't use pie chart in situation when we'd like to show how one variable develop over the time. Shares are given when out of what's the percentage of share for a particular element is there, that you can find with the help of the pie chart. Remember, one more specialized chart is there. Pie charts extension is called a donut chart. Donut. So they are basically pie chart with the hole in the middle. Okay, see this. Total numbers are given at the center, and outer circle will show you the share of all. Just same graph is taken, but at the center, I'm giving this addition of all 109 million revenue is there for my company, and out of all $105 million revenue, 52%, okay, 52% is to division B, 13% for A, and 44% is division C, like that. Donut chart. Okay, so there, wherever we are going to use the pie chart at that location, or instead of pie chart, I can make use of a donut chart also. So there is no special location where you're going to apply the donut chart there, but that can be applied here. Line chart, very commonly used plot. So when you start visualizing, we'll start with the line chart. Uh, Two variables progress, that we can see with the help of the line chart. A line or multiple line shown showing how single or multiple variable develop over the time. It's a great tool because we can easily highlight the magnitude of change of one variable over a period with another, like x and y. X-axis I have one variable, y-axis another variable, and I want to show their progress with each other. How x increases, whether there is an impact on y present there or not. That's what we can see with the help of the line chart. Very commonly used plot are there. The default function of plotting in Python uses the line plot. See this. So line plot is like this. We are going to have again comparison of three over the time. So division A. So you can now observe it. This is division A, division B, and division C. Our observation is that division A and C are constant. They are constant in the progress. It's not progressing actually, but they're constant. Revenue generation is done by them. But if you check for division B is progressing. This cannot be identified by the numbers because numbers are given day by day, and all 365 days into 5 years information is there. If you plot them, then only it can be seen, yeah, which is progressing and which is not. Now comparison among all, or comparison according to time, can be done with the help of the line plot in this way. Next is area chart. They're similar to the line chart, but they show the area which is covered by them. Okay, out of the whole 100%, how much area is covered by them? Covered means the line below of the line, how much area is present there. Okay, so idea of area chart based on the line chart, colored regions, areas shows us the development of each variable over the time. Three types of chart: regular, stacked, and 100% area chart. See, wait a minute, see this one. Same example I've taken. Now you can see out of total revenue generated here. So this amount of revenue will be there from the first. 100% is not there, but interpretation can be something like that. This is B. You can observe it's increasing, and this is your C division. Fine. Revenue is great, progressing, it's also progressing, but A is somewhat constant. Fine. This is 100% stacked area chart. 100% area is covered by this chart here. Okay, fine. Next is tree map chart. This is called as a hierarchical chart also. Hierarchical chart. So there are some type of chart that are effective but often neglected. Out of it, this is the one. And you can see much more information is shown in single picture. It's a part of pie chart also. It's a part of the division by division, means pie chart, pie chart, something like that. For example, I'm having 100% revenue here for a company, and out of it, this amount of revenue is there for division B, this amount of from division C. For example, here 40% is there, and this 40%. Okay, or this is 45%, this is 45%, this is 10%. If for division A, division A, and under division B, again three products are there. Means if you consider division B 100%, under that again 60% for product B2. Okay, 40% from product B3 and remaining from product B1, like that. Again, this also A, division A, 50% in division A is A1, 50%, 40% is A2, and 10% from A3. So you can compare, see the advantage is that you can compare this product C2 in the whole company and product C2 into division C only. Also, both are possible. In whole company's revenue, what is the share of C2? And in division C is what is the share of C2? Both can be visualized here easily. Hierarchical chart is that is called as a tree map chart, which is used. So when to use? When the company is looking at so far as three divisions, so area of them is covered by product. So under that, again under product, we can have multiple small parts there. Very it's not used commonly, but most of the time data analysts have to represent data in this way, they can use it. Waterfall chart. Okay, waterfall, again not known chart much. It's called as bridge charts also. Take their origin of consulting. Now see, several decades ago, a top tier 24/7 at your service consultant, that McKinsey, have popularized this kind of the visualization technique. Okay, and ever since the popularity of bridge chart is continued to rise. Bridge charts are made of a bars showing the cumulative effect of series of positive and negative values from start to end. What was your start? What is your end? So how you have achieved end from the start can be shown by using the waterfall chart. See this. For example, I'm starting with 103 million revenue, and I've ended with 109 million revenue. But where we have spent what, where I gained what. See, delta division has gained 1 million, it will become 104. Delta division B has gained 6 million, it will become 110. And delta division C has lost 1 million. So 110 minus 1, 109, last one. This is what we call as the bridge chart, where start and end are matched with the graphical ups and downs using this kind of the method. Okay, one more is there. You can see intermediary steps will be something like this. See, revenue is 109 and finally EBIT is 24. But how you have lost that? That we can see. COGS, we have lost 53 million. Then OPEX 24 million, D&A 8 million, and what is remaining with 24 million, like this. Waterfall or the bridge chart. So by this particular chart, we can visualize the data in the step by fashion, step by step in intermediary step fashion, like that. Scatter plot, very commonly used plot. Okay, in machine learning, in case of clustering technique, this plot is very commonly used. Clusters visualization, graph, groups, which element are similar of each other, that we can visualize by this method. So scatter plot is a type of chart that is often used in the field of statistics and data science. It consists of multiple data points plotted across the two axes. So scatter plot can be of two types, 2D also and 3D also we can create it. So if your graphical package is having ability to visualize data in 3D fashion, though, that can also be done. So each variable depicted in scatter plot would have multiple observations. If scatter plot include more than two variables, then we use different colors to signify that. Okay, so groups patterns, can check it out. Two advantages are this scatter plot. First advantage is that we can check the linearity between input and output. Okay, in linear regression also I use this particular plot. Linearity, like price on the x-axis and size on the y-axis, and you can see they are positively connected. So as price increases, size also increases. You can see that. This is what we can find it, but not 100%. It's okay. You have to build machine learning model of linear regression, and then after you can identify the averaging line of it. But what trends are showing? Size is increasing according to price. This is uh, one variable dependency on another. The correlation can be found by using the scatter plot, as well as without relationship also, like clusters, groups within the data can be shown by using this method. So you can see this data are group, means all of these data are present only in this square or in this rectangle. Remaining other location doesn't contain anything. Or maybe somewhere, this is also one of the method by which you can detect the outliers, like some element is present here, so far away from the crowd, that we can detect. This is one of the advantages of scatter plot also. Detecting groups, detecting outliers can be seen with the help of the scatter plots here. When to avoid? So we can't use scatter plot when we don't have bi-dimensional data, means two, one on x-axis, one on y-axis. If you have only x-axis, not possible. Okay. So for example, we need information about both house prices and house size. Can have how house prices increases according to house size. You can plot it. Okay. So scatter plot at least require two dimensions. So one dimension that is on x-axis, another dimension on the y-axis. Okay. They are not suitable if you are interested in observing time pattern trained over the time. If it is there, then they cannot be used. So it's using numerical data or the numbers, very common. Okay. This is histogram. Maybe those who are knowing the concept of image processing, maybe they have used that one. A series of bins showing us the frequency of observation of a given variable. How frequent? How many number of elements are there within this range? That range, next range, like that you can find. Where highest amount of probability is present. That also you can find. The probability distribution of a data set, of a univariate data set, we can do with the help of the histogram. Definition of histogram, short and easy, like frequency plot we can find. Now see, one small example I'll show you. An interviewer asked to 67 people how much their house cost is. Then the histogram is used to portray the interviewer's finding. Some prices were between the range of 117 to 217K, and some are from 217 to 317K, and some are from 217 onwards. Check this histogram. So 67 houses are there within this range, 117 to 217. 219 are there from 217 to 317. 370 to 470, 46. 417, 520, and 570 onwards are 5. 3. So where highest number of elements are there? 217 to 317. So the range which we are given below, it is called as the bins. Bins. In that bins, I can change that bins programmatically, and after that we can draw the plots of histogram. So they are similar to bar chart, but not exactly. They are single variable. Histogram can be drawn in single variable. I don't require two variables to draw. In single variable, how many number of elements are present within a specific range can be shown by the histogram. When to use? So they are great when we are to like to show distribution of data we are working with. Distribution of data that we are working with. So it allows us to group continuous data into bins and hence provide useful representation of where observations are concentrated. Fine. Okay, so this is what one more idea of histogram, but don't use this one. No one uses that. Stacked histogram. Under this, again, which areas are maximum, which numbers are maximum, that also we can create, but very rarely the stacked histograms are created. Dual axis chart. Dual axis chart, they contain two axes, y-axis and the shared x-axis is there. See this. It's a combination of bar chart and the line plot. Bar chart and line plot. Bar chart show the actual values and line plot show the trend presented. Trend, what's the trend present there? Can see. Okay, so two axes are there. One axis for x-axis is common for both, but for bar graph, I'm having this axis, the y-axis on right, left, and y-axis on the right. I'll be using for the line plot. For a dual axis plot, two axes are used there. Funnel chart shows series of steps and completion rate for each step. See this. For example, how much amount of which is the important step to do? impressions maximum, then clicks, then site visit, then white paper. So total count is given. According to count is mentioned here, the size of this funnel is given. First, then second, then third, fourth, fifth, you can identify where highest amount of efforts were involved, impressions. Heat map, which is all told about, color intensities are used, and using color intensity, you can identify the magnitude of that number. Fine. Okay, check it. See, this is a simple heat map shown here. You can identify this is the darkest colors. It's here the highest number is present, 552. Here the scale of darkness is given. This is 4. This is 2. Complete white. And almost dark cyan color is there. Okay. Somewhat lighter, 337 number. Again, somewhat lighter, 230 number. Again, somewhat lighter, 136. Somewhat lighter, 144. Then 91. You can observe it. Where the complete white almost is there, they are the lowest values. Which one? 9, 6, 2, 8, 17, 4, 20, 21. They are the high intensity values are there. This is the highest intensity value. So you can check the colors, and using color, the intensity or magnitude of the number can be shown. This is what we call as the heat map. And this heat map also plays very important role for data analysts to identify where highest number of values are lying. So rather than checking every number, because this graph is very small, 4 by 4, sorry, 5 by 4 is given. 20 entries are there only. Maybe 100 entries are there. So where to look for? Use the colors, and you can check where the highest number is present, at what row and what column. So by this method, you can create the heat map visualization. Box plot, very important. I'll show the implementation of it, box plot also. So box plot is the method for graphically depicting group of numerical data through their quartiles. Okay, so those have studied the statistics and might be knowing the concept of quartile. Three quartiles are there: 25% first quartile, 50% second quartile, and 75% third quartile. Okay, if I want to show that data distribution of the data within first quartile, second quartile, third quartile, so you can use the box plot there. And even median, minimum value, maximum value, and even outliers can also be detected by using box plot. See, so box plot may also have line extending from boxes, that's called as whiskers, indicating variability outside the upper and lower quartiles. Hence the name that is called as box and whisker plot, and whisker and box plot. See this one. See, I have conducted the experiment. Okay, 5 experiment I have conducted, for example. Okay, and in all 5 experiment, I have identified the speed of light. Speed of light here, kilometers per second minus, okay, 2999 is almost 3 lakh is given here. So in my first experiment, what was my observation? Minimum value was this, maximum value was this, and most of the values are lying within this range. Okay, this is 25% quantile, this is 75, sorry, this is 75% quantile, this is 25% quantile, and this is a median value for my first experiment. For my second experiment, the range was different. Minimum was this, maximum was this, 25%, 75%, and median. Okay, experiment number 3. Now you can see experiment number 3. Here we are minimum and 25% are same, then median, and then here. Now so you can check all ranges are different. Range, speed of light, what I observed from experiment number 1, experiment number 2, 3, 4, 5 are different. Fine, ranges are different. Here outliers are there. See the dots which are shown over here, they are called outliers. They are far away from the crowd. They are away from the crowd. See, they are not within this range. They are away from the crowd. They are called as outliers. Fine. So this is box plot is there. I'll show that box plot in the array-based method, and then you can identify how the box plots will be created. Like, apart from that, we use programming languages. Okay, basically try to use programming language because the thing that we can design by your own, it's possible to perform operations of data visualization programmatically. So you design by your own, completely modifiable. Dynamic things are there, but still there are various open source commercial online tools are available. Tools I'm talking about, not a programming language. These tools are used to visualize the data. Out of it, you might be knowing the first tool called a Tableau. Tableau commercial tool, which we can use to visualize the data. So only strong data visualization is possible with the help of the Tableau. Okay, okay, see this one, Tableau. It's one of the options. Most of the companies using Tableau, but those who are working on core programming, they don't use it. They use it the programming language like Python and R to visualize the data more specifically. So many abilities are given to the Tableau, and with the help of Tableau, different kind of the graphs, different variety of graphs can be plotted easily. Second is infogram. Infogram is also good, and it also contains similar kind of ability that Tableau is containing, but interactivity is not much for the infogram. Next is chart blocks that we can use. DJ3.js is an extension of the uh, JavaScript library. Like if you have heard about Node.js, PDF.js, React.js, like D3.js is specially created for graphical visualization. It's having a layer of JavaScript, and with the help of JavaScript, visualization is done there. Google Charts, one of the most powerful free visualization tool created by the Google. You can go for Google Chart also, and it can import data from many variety of sources. That's why it's very efficient to use it. But no programming is there. You have to apply the data and you have to create the charts accordingly. Fine. Fusion chart is also JavaScript based, and it is having a connectivity with other programming languages also. Like we can include PHP, Java, Django framework, of Python, Ruby on Rails connected to that. One more extension of JavaScript is there for chart.js. Simple but flexible JavaScript charting library, open source, which provides a good variety of chart types. Total 8 charts are there. Even animation and interaction. Interactivity is great in this particular chart. That also we can use. And if you talk about the programming languages, now see, two programming languages which are used for data analytics. Python is the number one choice for data analysts and data scientists to visualize the data. In that, four libraries are there which are used to visualize your data. Okay. Out of it, the first library is Matplotlib that we will see, and Seaborn also will see after the afternoon session, which functions packages are present in that. That also will see. Then Plotly is also one of the library, but not that much popular yet for visualization, because abilities of Plotly are same as that of the Matplotlib are. Fine. And then Pylab. Pylab is a supporting library for Seaborn and the Matplotlib. But in all, Matplotlib is the base library for Python programming language. Remember, and for all, I mean, Seaborn also worked on the Matplotlib. For Plotly also works on the Matplotlib. Just like NumPy, I told, it's a base library for all machine learning packages. And Pandas also is also base for all the machine learning packages. Likewise, Matplotlib is the base for all the data visualization libraries in Python. And if you talk about R programming language, so for R, graphics default library which we can use, and ggplot2 is one of the great extension library, largest library of visualization in the world is ggplot2. That also we can use to visualize it. Two websites name I mentioned over here. If you want to learn visualization techniques, learn means basically they have given very short introduction to that. Maximum examples are given: pythongraphgallery.com and rgraphgallery.com. Python Graph Gallery contains more than 250 different kind of graphs there. Okay, at the end of the session, I'll show you this site also, and how to use the code from Python Graph Gallery, and which kind of graphs are there, how to choose it, and what interactivity that it that also we'll see afterwards. Okay, so this is what simple and basic introduction to the graphical abilities or visualization abilities or visualization kind of graphs. The graphs which are used for visualizations are there. Now let's see the things that we have seen, that we have done over here is practical point of view. Okay, so to do this one, to perform the practical, we need to have same ideas like yesterday what we have seen. We have used the pandas library, we have used numpy library. Now today we are going to use the matplotlib library. If you install the anaconda, so in anaconda matplotlib is by default available. And if you're using Google Colab, on Google Colab also Matplotlib is by default available. So it's not required to install afterwards. So directly we can use this library as it is in the code. Now let's look at that. What do you mean by Matplotlib and what are the abilities Matplotlib internally contains? See this one. Now, Matplotlib is one of the most popular Python package used for data visualization. It is cross-platform library for making 2D plots from data in arrays. They mention here arrays, but if you pass the data in list format, then also it will take. But the necessity is that all elemental list should be of same type. Then it will take it. Okay. So it's written in Python and make use of NumPy The numerical mathematical extension of Python, it provide an object-oriented API help in embedding plots applications of Python GUI toolkit. Okay, so Python, okay, we have to show that graphs, okay, graphically. So to show that graph, Python internally contains some graphical user interface toolkits. Out of it, PyQt, WX and tkinter. These three libraries are used for visualization here. They are the GUI based methods by which you can see that. Okay, it can be used in Python and IPython shell also, Jupyter Notebook also, even on web application servers also, like Google Colab, as I told already. So there also you can use this library directly. Matplotlib is having a procedural interface called as PyLab. Okay, its name was also mentioned there, Python Laboratory, which is designed to resemble MATLAB, a proprietary programming language developed as MathWorks. If we, maybe you have worked on that, those who have worked on MATLAB, so similar kind of visualization methods, similar kind of ideas of data visualization are present here in the Matplotlib. So almost 80% syntax of MATLAB and Matplotlib are same. But the difference is that Matplotlib is open source library connected with Python. MATLAB is commercially available. So for many different tasks like primarily on image processing, signal processing, or many mathematical processing applications can be executed by using the MATLAB. So same we can do by using Matplotlib in Python also. Okay, Matplotlib along with NumPy can be considered as an open source equivalent of MATLAB. It was created by John Hunter in 2003, 18 years ago, and current stable version is 2.2, not 2.2. Actually, third versions available for Matplotlib that we can use it here. Now, under the Matplotlib. So here the session name is mentioned as data visualization array or list based, means only univariate visualization will do. Univariate means we are going to have the array separately, like the data which is present in single dimension vector. That visualization can be done with the help of Matplotlib. In data frame also possible, but default ability is not given there. You will come to know about it, how default abilities are present to Matplotlib and C1 separately. So under Matplotlib, we are having a sub package called as PyPlot, which contains a collection of command function, command style function that makes Matplotlib work like a MATLAB. And each PyPlot function makes some change to the figure. For example, function creates a figure, plotting area in a figure, plot some lines in plotting area, decorate the plot with labels, etc. So which plots are there, commonly is plot that we'll see, and decoration on that particular plot, how it's done, which are different functions present, which are different keyword arguments present, that also we'll see step by step. Matplotlib.pyplot. Under it, many different kind of plots are possible. You can just check out the names of them: bar, horizontal bar, box plot, histogram, 2D histogram, pie chart. Plot means line plot, polar plot, scatter plot, stack plot, step plot, quiver plot, like all. Many are there. Out of it, 6 to 7 graphs, and their internal abilities I'll show you over here. Okay, and image functions. Even not only graphs, but I can use the image function also. I can read the image. If you have worked with the MATLAB, you might be knowing IMRead function. Same function is there, which we can use here in Matplotlib. IMSave is there. IMShow are also there to perform, to save the data, to save the image, or to show the images. So all these operations we can do with this, and many access functions all are there. I'll show all of them which are shown over here, and some function which are connected to the figures, like figure text, figure dimensions, showing the figure, saving the figure, closing the figure, all they are possible here. Now let's see. I'll show the things practically now. We'll start with the first line plot. Okay, and then we'll go for other kind of the plots also, step by step. So wait a minute. I'll share my program screen now. Yeah, see this. So the program screen I have shared here. I'll create a new file where I can do the data visualization in the array based or the list based. Okay, okay. Now let's see. Just a minute. I'll just increase it. As I told, many functions are there which are present in the pyplot. Matplotlib's under package we have pyplot function, pyplot sub package. Under it we are having many function to do. So we have to import it. So here general data scientist uses a PLT as an alias to the pyplot sub package here. So let's import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. Matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. Okay, so this is the, as I told, it's a plotting library which we can use here, and many functions I can apply to work with. For example, if I write PLT dot, so many functions which are present inside it that can be seen. You can just check it out. I'm showing many different names of the functions here. Okay, so many functions. It will take a very long time to use all of these functions. Very commonly used functions I'll show you there. As I told, this particular library is basically focused on univariate analysis, means single array. The data should be given as a form of the array there. So we'll be making use of the arrays here only. Arrays or the list. So let's import the array package. So I'm importing np numpy, and now let's create two different kind of arrays. So I'll use the array something like this. Okay, so some element I'll intentionally keeping them in incremental fashion. See this, 448. Okay, so some set of elements I keep. Basically, I'm creating a list. I'll show the array also. The list of element I've just stored. Maybe you have taken that data from user, or maybe you have imported that data from a file. Okay, see this. So x is taken, and then second variable is y. Yes. How many are there? Okay, extra is done. Yeah, x and y. Now simply I want to show the relationship. Now, as I told, the correlation we can see the relative relations between x and y. If you want to see directly, the line plot we can use, and that line plot is plotted with the help of the default function that we use, plt plot, plt.plot x comma y. Now you can see how x and y is connected together. Directly the plot will be shown. You can see, so it's how it's incrementing. It's in incremental fashion. It's incrementing continuously. So y is incrementing according to x. So when as x is incrementing, y is incrementing, or as y is incrementing, x is incrementing. That's what we can see. They're correlation, but not exactly linear. Exact linear is not there. You can identify the trend. Yeah, trend over the time. They are incrementing. There is no any single instance where it is decreased. Fine. For example, somewhere it's decreased. For example, here after 26, I am giving 18 number. Now, see, you can observe now trend. As I told, advantage of using the visualization to find a trend. See, after that it has decreased and then again increased. The trend is there. After 26, it became 18, and then it's increased like that. I make it 28, so it is not increased. Yes, sorry, it is not decreased. It is increased, increasing, increasing, and increasing over the time. There is no any proportionality there, but I can observe that it is increasing continuously. So relation between two can be shown with the help of this kind of the plots. Fine. This is what we call as a simple two-dimensional line plot. But what about the decorations? I can decorate this particular graph. Not only this, many functions are there with matplotlib contains, which are applicable to other kind of plots also. We can make it for scatter plot, histogram, or line plot, pie chart, box plot. Everywhere the same function can be applicable. Which are that? Now, first, I want to provide a title to it. Title, like my first plot. Then I want to provide the names to x and y axis. X label. So X label is let's say uh, input, okay, and Y label. These are the common functions which you can apply to all the graphs. Not only in Matplotlib, I can apply it to the Seaborn library also. Now see, my first plot here output is name given to the y-axis and input name given to the this axis, x-axis. Correct? Fine. Check this. So common decorations that we can apply. Now let's go for the next function. I want to make use of the gaps with certain number. Like you can see the gap present here between the numbers is 20, 0 to 20 to 40 to 60 to 80 to 100, and here 0 to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. X-axis contains 0 to 100 and y-axis contains 0 to 50. Correct? I want to change that limits. So there's a function xlim which was shown on the presentation there. Xlim. X-axis I want minimum 0, maximum 110, and on y-axis I want minimum 0 and maximum is 60. Now you can see 0 to 100. Okay. Above that is also the 110. You can see it's not mentioned over here because it's not in the range of 20. That's what is not shown. Okay, so 20, 40, 80, 60, 80 and 100, and 110 is given at the end, and from here 0 to 60 they are mentioned. Even I want to add the ticks, means I want to change these ticks. They are called as ticks. So 0 to 20 to 40 to 60, I don't want that. I want the difference of 10 between them. So x ticks range 1 to 110, increment by 10. X ticks I've used, so I can apply the ticks now. Now see the ticks. Sorry, 1 to 0 to, sorry, 0 to 100, increment by 10. So 0 to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, ticks are added. Finally, so requirement, as per your requirement, we can decorate this particular kind of the graph. So many more decoration functions are there, which we can apply here, and even we can use it there in the other kind of plots also. So this is what a ticks we can apply. Even same ticks we can apply to the y-axis also, here on y-axis. Output variable, but already ticks are of 10 there, automatically they are taken. That's why I'll not change it. I'll keep it as it is. Input, and this is your output. Fine. Okay, now next one, I want to apply a grid here. Grid, plt.grid. Now see grid. All the ticks which are shown on x-axis are connected to on y-axis. Horizontal grid, horizontal lines and vertical lines will be there from the respective axis. Now you can see the grid is created here. Fine. Okay, so these are the supporting function to decorate the graph present over here. Now many more decorations are yet to come. Let's see what are the other decoration methods are there. Next, I want to change the color of this particular line. I want to change the color of this line. So many different default colors are there. That colors we can apply, that colors we can use, or even we can make use of some kind of markers also. That markers can also be added. Colors and markers both can also be applied. Okay, so just check this out. On this presentation, you can check this. See, colors and markers, different kind of markers or different kind of colors I can use. So these are the characters for markers and these are the characters for the colors. Actually 680 colors are there which we can use by their names, short names also, and the long names also. Both colors names can be chosen. And even if you want to use the hex code of the color, then also it is possible to apply it there. So these are the color code that we can make use of it. And if you just check on actual programming, now see how this task will be done. Now see this one. Uh, in the plot function, the plot is a function to perform the operations to plot it. So here I need to make the changes. Now see, here I apply color. I want to change the color, red. Now see, the color shown on that plot has become now red. The plot is now become red. Okay, or it's not required to write red completely. If you write R only, then also it will use that. Okay, many such colors, including the light colors also we can add. Many colors, like for example, I want to add the pink color. That also possible. So it's very light pink is there, or I want to add some color like brown. See, or magenta. So many colors which are present in the HTML color codes. You might be knowing HTML color codes, and then color names are there. Same colors with their names and color code we can use over here. See this magenta, cyan, or yellow, green, even light colors if you want. Light blue. See, light blue color. It's not visible actually. Okay, or light uh, green. See, light green. Or if you want to use the hash code, that also is possible. Just write the hash code here. Hash RGB. R, this is G, and this is B. RGB. If you know HTML color codes, okay, that can be applied here. I think correct. Highest color is green. A3 is the highest color there. That's why it's greenish combination is created. If I make it ED, see, blue combination, because blue color is extra there. So those who know the RGB, so RGB is also applicable. That colors we can change directly. You can use the names and the colors also. So let's make it darker. Yeah, this is the exact color you want. Now second parameter, which is called as marker. I have given the names of markers, just like on presentation we have seen. Here also we can use the marker. So let's, what exactly meaning of marker? Marker is O. Now see, O marker. That filled O or the big dot, you can see where actually the values are lying. You can find it. Where these actually values are present. Okay. So likewise, many such markers are there. You find this dot marker. So small dot will be there. Okay. Or if I want to use the diamond marker, D you have to apply, diamond, D marker. Or if you want to use star, see, all are there. This is what the markers are. That means these abilities are given to the particular function, and we can use by this particular method. And even a few more parameters like we can use. They are called as line style. Now see, I'll just delete the marker from here. I don't require marker. I'll use a line style now. Line style. There are 5-6 different kind of line styles are there, like solid line, dash dot line, dotted line, or the hexagon marker line that we can use. See, for example, if I want to use a dotted line, so I use a dot here. Sorry, not dot, it's a dashed line. See this. Wait a minute, what's the problem? It's a combination. Yes. See, uh, dash and dot, dash and dot, dash and dot. If you have a dotted line, so we need to apply colon. See this. So as per your requirement, the decoration of it is possible. So line style, it will show the different kind of the styles that we have to apply, different kind of the style that we can make use of it over here. Even if I want to change the face color, that also I can do. So see, this is a line style I've just made. I can use a face color now. Wait a minute, what's missing? Oh, sorry, just a minute. Face color is not applicable to this. When I have to use a multiple plot, that time I can show you this one. Face color is applicable to the subplots only. Face color directly cannot be, because to distinguish between multiple different kind of plots, these face color combinations are required. So I'll show that one. But when you see the subplot, okay, that time I'll show you how to use this particular face color method here. So this is how different kind of methods I can use to apply the or create the particular plot over here. Fine. Okay, remember that. Now let's go ahead. I want, now you can observe that the resolution of that image or this graph is very small. It contains an aspect ratio. Aspect ratio will be like the proportion of width and height. Proportion of width and height. You might be knowing every output device contains the aspect ratio. The previously standard output devices or computers were having aspect ratio of 4 is to 3, 4 width and 3 height. Correct. And nowadays we are having wide screen laptop or TVs also are wide screen. Or your mobile also wide screen. Its resolution or sorry, its aspect ratio is 16 by 9. So if you want to change it, that also you can change. You can check the output of it. And now let's see if I want to change the aspect ratio. So I can make use of plt dot figure. And here you have to apply figure size is equal to what I require 16 by 9. Default 6 by 4, right? Now you can see. Is it okay? Now see. Full screen, wide screen, 16 width and 9 height. It's a ratio. There is no any measurement unit present there, inches or centimeters or like that. It's a ratio, 16 by 9. Accordingly, you can visualize this particular graphs. See this. So this method we can use to decorate your graph. Common ideas, common methods are there. Now let's go for the comparison. Now I want to compare two different entities here. Two different entities. So I can make use of this particular graph ahead. So what I'll do, I'll just copy this particular part from here and use it on another plane. So we'll keep this as it is separately. And for inputs also, see. So we can compare entities now. What entities? So let's have a Z, another different array or list here. Okay, so that will also contain some set of elements here. Let's say I'll add that elements now. Yeah, one more is required. Okay, Z. Now you can see X, Y, and Z. Now I want to show the comparison of X against Y and X against Z. X against Y and X against Z. So that comparison also we can do. I'll just reduce this line so it will be clear to understand what exactly I'm doing over here. Okay, now see. So here I'm plotting X against Y first. Okay, X against Y. And there I'm passing the color red. Let's have the marker is equal to dot. Okay, this is your X against Y. The first plot is shown here. Now I want to create one more plot. So whatever number of time you write the graphical visualization methods, all that will be shown on the same plane. Now see, X against Y. I'll add X against Z now. Its color is green. Marker dot. Okay. Now you can check it. Progress of X against Y and X against Z. So in red color, I'm having X against Y, and in green color, I'm having X against Z. X against Y and X against Z. So both of these plots are shown on the same plane, on same plane here, X against Y. You can just now compare it. How to do the comparison. So the length should be same, and input should be same. Now input variations are different. Input is again different, and output range is different. So graphs cannot be matched. It's possible to plot it, but graphs cannot be matched. So to match that graphs, one against others, I should have X input same. Okay, or Y input same. Sorry, Y entity same. So then only the matching of graph is possible. Okay, now see this one. Now what I want this is my comparison. For example, in a research paper of data analysis, you have shown that this was in this year or previously it was this, now it is this. Correct. Now we can identify that I have made this red line more straighter in green. So continuous progress I have just converted into it. Like some linear progress, I have created a continuous linear progress. Fine. I want to compare. I want to show that what's the meaning of red line and what's the meaning of green line. Okay, might be if you are done visualization already, this is called as the legend, and that legend we can add to the graph. How to add that? See this. So here you have to add the labels. Label is equal to, let's see, this data is 2019, and the below data is of 2020. See, still not visible. So there's a function called as legend that you have to apply. See, legend, and you can see the legend. Legends are automatically adjusted. Now here you are specifying legend explicitly, but in C1 package, when their data frame based visualization is there, there we don't need to add that explicitly. Automatically legend will come. Here I'm adding it, and the location is also different. So if this lines are flowing here, automatically the location will go here. Wherever the empty space is there, there that legend is visible. So this red line means 2019 progress, and 2020 progress is this. It means that we have not progressed much. We have started with already great value. See, you can check it. 2019, we have started with some low value 5, and your progress was so much faster. Correct. And in 2020, we started with some high value, but your progress has not catched because of many reasons. Okay, you can see this one. Obviously, this is how comparison of two different variables on the plane is possible using the line plots. Okay, many function that parameter that we have seen, they are common for different kind of the plots, colors, markers, or the x ticks, y label, x label, like or titles or figure size, all that are common. So it is completely user modifiable. User will decide how exactly my graph should look like. Okay, fine. Now this is how I've shown the comparison. I can have any number of such comparisons over here. Now I want a second idea. I want this comparison on two different kind of the plots, but in the same plane. In the same plane, I want to show it. First of all, x against y, and second is x against z. So to do this one, wait a minute. Just see, again, similar to the matplotlib visualization technique. If you have seen the matplotlib visualization, so wait a minute. There we are using one smart method. Just a minute. It's called a subplot. Now see. Okay, where is that? Huh. Oh, sorry. Just a minute. This one. See this subplots. I think it's visualized. It's shown to you. I want the plot like this. Okay. So in this way means one plot above, one plot below. Correct. Or two plots. One plot on left side, one plot on right hand side. Or I want four plots like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or I want six plots like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, I have specially mentioned how many rows and how many columns are there. See, you might have seen such kind of the graphs in most of the research papers. They have proved that, yeah, this is my comparison. So if you want to create such kind of the plots in Python, so make sure three numbers are there: number of rows, number of columns, and plot number. If you want to plot this way, so you have to use three parameters here: row number, column number, and the plot number. So if you want to plot this at this area, so use 2, 1, 2. And if you want to plot at this area, we have to use 2, 1, 2. Sorry, this is 2, 1, 1 and 2, 1, 2. Okay. If I want to draw in this fashion, side by side, so how many rows are there? Row is 1 and 2 columns are present to this particular part. Correct. If I want to plot it here, so row 1, column 2 and plot 1. Correct. And if I want to plot at this area, so row 1, column 2 and plot 2. Okay. And if I want to plot in this way, subplots, so it is 2 by 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, and 2, 2, 4. Okay, like that. This is the subplots. This idea of subplots are created. Here, three numbers which I mentioned that we have to apply and use it there. Now let's see practically how to do this one. So subplot function is basically used to perform the operation. See. Let's check it out. Yes. Now see. So let's create a subplot. Let's make it side by side, means one row and two columns. Okay. One row, two columns, plot number 1. One row, two column, plot number 2. Done. But in between that, we have to write your plot. So in first subplot, what you require? This one. Correct? X against Y. And in second subplot, what do you require? This one. Fine. See this. So this is your x against y plot, and this is x against z plot. Fine. You can see the ranges are different here. Now they are adjusted accordingly because the range of z is very less. This is 0 to 10 to 30 are there, and here we have 0 to 50, 58 something. Correct. So they are coming side by side. And remember, everyone will have separate title. Everyone will have separate x and y values. Everyone will have separate grid. Separate. Everything is separate. Okay. Like for example, for first plot, I want to decorate. So whatever decorations I used here, all that decoration I will apply to first plot. See the decoration methods. See all decoration. Okay, all the decoration I apply to first plot. Now see, my first plot is fully decorated and second plot is not. So same again you have to apply to second plot also. That plot will come side by side. And here also it's very small visualization that you can see. I just want the bigger one is resolution, or the aspect ratio should be 16 by 9. So I can use it here. Sorry, not this. See all the things I mentioned on the presentation. I'll share the presentation at the end of all, because it's very many data I have compiled and a clear idea which I have created here. Sorry, not above. It should be here. So you can try by your own. Even the code I'm showing over, that's also I can share with you. See this. Full resolution. In that DPI is also possible. Might be knowing dots per inch. Here. DPI is equal to 300. Now see. Oh, it's taking time actually. Default DPI. Maximum highest resolution is there, DPI. Very sharp colors, sharp lines can be seen by this method. 300, which is mentioned. I can make it 100 DPI also. So DPI can also be applied. So many such parameters are there which we can use to visualize your data. This is how the subplots are there. So plot we can see on each other on the same plane also, and we can make them side by side. Or if I want some interesting plot, I'll show you one more. Like on left hand side, I want x against y, and then on right hand side, above and below, two plots are there. See, that's I want over here. Just check it out how to do this. Now see, okay, check it out. This is common idea. First plot is here, second plot. Now in this part, right hand side, I have to create two parts, above and below. So above and below combination is there for 2 by 2 matrix. Two, one here, 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 one here. So this plot, which is shown over here, it is the plot number 2 in 2 by 2 matrix. And the plot that we can see over here is plot number 4, in 2 by 2 matrix. Correct? Check it. So that's what diagram I have shown there. So in 2 by 2 matrix, plot number 2. See that. In 1 by 2 matrix, this is plot number 1, and in 2 by 2 matrix, this is plot number 2. Check this. 1 by 2 matrix, plot number 2. Here I have drawn. And below, if you want to draw here, so in 2 by 2 matrix, this is plot number 4 here. How to? So check this. A different combination can be done. 2 by 2, plot number 4, and this is what we have, y against z. Color is blue. Check this. This is 1 by 2 plot number 1. This is 2 by 2 plot number 2, and 2 by 2 plot number 4. Like this. So any different kind of combination. So this is how shown only for the line plot. But if you want to plot the data in bar chart format, if you want to draw pie chart format, box plot format, same thing is applicable there. So this is called a dashboard basically. At a same graph, I can visualize everything. The data that you do, programming that you perform, analytics that you do, after that you want to show the result before, after, or after certain stages, state or steps. So we can make use of this kind of the plots, and accordingly we can visualize this particular data. So these are the common ideas, common methods that we can use in the data visualization techniques. Okay, that's these methods are there. Only one plot we have seen. Let's go to the second kind of the plot, and that plot we call as the scatter plot. Okay, so scatter plot. Scatter plot are basically used to show the groups of the data. So first of all, I will show the scatter plot for this particular data. Then I will change the data, clusters, groups inside the data. Which data are having a group, which are having another group, that we can find by this particular method here. Let's see this one. So plt dot scatter. Scatter function is used for that. X against y. Now see, scatter dot are shown over there. Okay, it's called a scatter plot. Okay, and for this also we can make use of the colors, or we can use x label, y label, limits, everything. The problem here is it's a dot shown, exceed values present, there the dots are shown. This is called as a scatter plot. Now advantage of it, and that's what we have seen in the theoretical part, is that it can find a trend. You can see the trend, it's incrementing, correct? And even we can find the patterns, groups also within it. Now how this pattern or group is there, let's see that. For example, I'm having first p, it's something like this. Okay, 10 are there, and in q we have certain set of elements. Okay, p q. Now see, you can find a pattern there. See, these elements are connected together. These are having, they are close to each other, and these are close to each other. Find pattern, clusters, groups we call. So this idea, this kind of data can be seen, can be visualized. So you can identify that these elements are similar together, and these elements are similar together. So here also we can have the x ticks lim. Let's use limits first. On x-axis we'll have 0 to 100, and y lim I'm having 0 to 100. See, so group is like this. This data is here, and one data is here. Fine. Even you can apply the colors also. Colors. Now see how to apply the colors. For example, if I see, so those who are same, they will apply applied with the same color. Like and I just have to apply this. Sorry, COL, for example, and here there's a parameter C is equal to COL. I can apply. You can see that group is same. It's showing purple color, and below group is the yellow color. They are same. Clusters. See, in unsupervised learning, basically, when clustering techniques are used, K-means clustering, Gaussian mixture is there, hierarchical is there, DB scan are there, K-medoids, many clustering techniques are there. So to visualize the data and check, yes, these groups are same, these elements are same. So we will be following such method to visualize it. I mean, scatter plot is basically used for that. Even scatter plot is used for linear regression also. Okay, in case of linear regression, also we can use this scatter plot to show the data in the scattered format. Like this method we can make it. This is called as the scatter plot. And even the dots that we have seen, their size also in can change. It's possible only in the scatter plot here. See, find it s is equal to 300. Now see, it's very big. Dots are there. Their markers can also be changed. I can use marker is equal to, let's say, star. See, so you can observe this. Here also grid can be applied, X label, Y label, ticks, everything that you want, just can add it there. And on that plane, again, if you want to draw a line or X against Y, so that is also possible. See, for example, if you add scatter here, and I want to show the trend of X against Y on the same plane, so you can use at the time scatter and then the plane. Now see, yes, this is your one data, and these are two groups, are two different kind of data. Maybe it's a separating line. It's a boundary line. So model created above that one class is there, below that another class is there. So most of the time when you visualize the data, classes of the data, so we are making use of the scatter plot by following this kind of the method here. Fine, remember that. Now next plot, which is we call as the bar plot. Okay, bars. So progress with some specific time, some specific data we can do with the help of the bar plot here. So function bar and bar h, two functions are there which are used. Bar means column bars are there. Bar h means horizontal bars are there, which we can use, and accordingly the bar charts can be drawn. So let's create two different kind of functions here, two different kind of data elements here. For example, the students is equal to, I'm having an array, and below that we have having the language names. So number of students enrolled for learning a specific language. So I mentioned C, C++, Python, Java, and PHP. Okay. So two I have created. Now I want to show the progress. This progress means actually comparison we can do. So total number of students who are enrolled to learn C are 45, C++ 37. Okay, Python 145, Java 103, PHP 88. So let's see, PLT dot bar. First parameter is x-axis. What I require in x-axis? Lang. And y-axis what I require? Stud. Color green. See that. So C, C++, Python, Java, PHP. So you can compare also. Where highest number is there, that highest number is there in the Python programming language. You can see, and then others are present, PHP and all. On that, in this particular plane also, we can use the data which is present here in the any kind of format. Remember, it's not like only list or arrays are there. I'll show that one also how to compare it. You can see this. Okay, fine. Now, this is manually I have given this data, but generally we are collecting this data from a data frame, and then I want to show you. Then I want to visualize it. Okay, that's also possible. That also we can do over here. Just a minute. Check this. The file that we have seen yesterday, it was student.csv file. Okay, I'm reading this file now. Student.csv. Sorry, pandas required. Okay, and now inside it, we know that there are a set of parameters present. Okay, which are that? So I know the column names: role, name, class, marks, and age. Role, name, class, marks, and age. Correct. Now what I want to show, I want to show the marks of all the student with their names. Correct. So plt dot bar. What I require on x-axis? Name. So df of name. We know that how to extract that column, and df of marks on y-axis. Let's use color blue. See this. And to make it more clear, let's make it with figure size again 16 by 9. Now see this. You can see bar on x-axis what I require, name. On y-axis I require the marks. Color I require blue. Okay, and see this. This is first, second, third, fourth. Everyone's mark. You can observe who is having highest marks. I think this one, last one, Anamol, and then Aniket. Like, you can see this. Comparison is possible. Bar chart. So data will come from any kind of entities, but you have to identify key on x-axis what I require, and on y-axis what I require. Okay, so in bar plot, x-axis we require these names, and y-axis we require the marks of that particular students in this way. So it's not compulsory that we are going to use in on the arrays only, but we can make use of this data on the columns of the data frame also. So whatever columns we are having a data frame, so to all the columns will be making use of this particular bar. So comparison can be done. Most of the time I use this bar plot for comparing very statistical properties. Like one example, in one of the supervised learning algorithm, I want to find the highest value of that number, highest value of that number. So where the highest value is there, that we can compare by such kind of the method there. Okay, this is what we call as the bar plot. Okay, now afterwards, after the bar plot, there is again one more important plot is called a histogram. Histogram, which is an accurate representation of distribution of numerical data. It is estimate of probability distribution of continuous variable. Okay, so most of the machine learning algorithm which are probabilistic algorithms, like logistic regression is there. Logistic regression is probabilistic deterministic algorithm hai. New Bayes algorithm is also there, which is generative probabilistic algorithm, and some algorithm like support vector machine, also based on the probabilities, some kernels. So that probabilities of the data we can see, we can show that distribution with the help of the histogram, or even the image color labels can also be seen with the help of the histogram. Okay, so let's create it and just check how histogram should be used. So there's a function called as hist, which is used to plot the histogram. So let's see this one, plt dot hist, plt.hist. And okay, this is a univariate, a single entry is required there. So let's create one variable a is equal to, I'll apply some set of elements here. Okay, and let's use a directly check it out. So in what range, how many number of element are present? You can see these are the ranges given over here. I have not applied the bins actually. So bins can also be applied. The second parameter, I can apply bins. Bins is equal to, I'll have a range of element from 0 to 100, increment by 10. Now see. So 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, nothing is present. 30 to 40, we have two elements. Count. See, on this side, we are showing a count. How many elements are there? Two. 30 to 40. 40 to 50, 2. 50 to 60, 4 are there. 50 to 60, 4 elements are present. 60 to 80, 2. 80 to 90, 1. Okay. So distribution of the data within specific ranges can be shown with the help of this particular method. Okay. By this method, we can find the distribution of the data here with this. Okay, or if I want to change the range, so bins I mentioned here 0 to 100 increment by 10, I want to increment it 20. Now see 20, so 20 to 42 are there, 40 to 60, 6 are there, 60 to 80, 4 are there. You might have seen this histogram multiple number of times somewhere. In image processing, this is very common to apply that. And for this histogram also, we can change X label, Y label, grid, color, all. Okay, fine. So this is what histogram is, which is frequency plot that we can use over here. And now let's see one of the most commonly used plot, that is pie chart, with the share, percentage share of the particular data can be shown. Like the data which I use in the bar plot, it is shown with different numbers. In combination of all, if total students are there, out of all students, how many percentage of students are there with present there with the C programming language of studying, how many are C++, how many are Python, how many are Java, that we can see with the help of pie chart. Not see plt.py. Okay, so the pie chart contains the parameters. Like the first parameter is the count that we have to apply here. Count means stood. Okay, and second parameter labels. What labels you have to apply? So labels are the lang. See this. You can check out the share, total number of people, students who are studying there. You can check now colors. C++ are the, this is C, this is PHP, this is Java, and many of them in Python. Okay, I want that percentages there. So to add that percentage, I can make use of the auto PCT, auto percentage. Okay, so there is required after dot, so 0.2 f. Maybe if you know, it's a formatted print function is there. So two position after the dot I require. That's why I require 0.2 f. So see, 34.69% student are studying Python. Java studied by 24.64, C++ 8.85, C 10.77, and PHP 21.05. Correct. If I change this number, okay, for example, I'll change this Python's count here, okay, where I stored that. Here it was there. Python's count, let's see, 245 or 445. I made it 445. Let's check it. Let's make the change here. See, 61.98% people are now studying. So accordingly, the share is changed because addition of all count and then percentage of share for a particular element is shown over here. Check this. This is a pie chart. That's what we can use here. Percentage of share. That's also wherever you require visualization. It's not much difficult to understand. Again, for this also, X and Y labels are not there, but we can make use of the titles. We can use of the colors also. Colors also are possible for which particular name in sequence, which color you require. That also we can use. And color shield is also there. That's some rainbow shields are there. PBG shields are there. HVC shields are there. Shield also can be applied, but it's part of another practice that we can try over there. It's called as the pie chart. So shear can be seen by this particular method. And let's go for the last plot. That is what we call as the histogram. Okay, sorry, not histogram. It is a box plot. Box plot is very commonly used variable, commonly used data where we are going to see commonly means machine learning point of view. I'll tell one continuous variable against another categorical variable that can be shown with the help of the box plots here. One contains variable against another categorical variable. Let's see, for example, two array I'll create here. Uh, the data distribution is something like this. First M, then N. Yeah, M and N. And now I'll plot the combination of M and N in the box plot format. And let's see, let's interpret that what exactly box plot is showing to us. I'm giving in array format, list format, sorry. See this. So the first element is this and second is this. This is the categories. First is this, second is this. Now, what is the interpretation from that? See, this is the first list I'm created, that is M, and second is the N, which you can see over here. I think it's possible to apply the labels. Yeah, labels are there. See, M is this and this is N. Check, observe it. Distribution of data is shown by this one. This is what called a whisker, box and whisker. See, the minimum value of M is this and maximum is this. Apply the grid and white ticks so you can easily find it. Yeah, now see this. M, minimum value is this, maximum is this, and this is outlier. Far away from the, I think this value 0.2. Here, outliers. And maximum values are lies within this range. This is first quartile value. This is minimum, maximum, first quartile, 25% quartile. This is 75% quartile, third quartile. This is 55% quartile. That is median of all element, which is shown in the orange color for this distribution. And if you check the distribution of second data, N, so here minimum value is this one. Here maximum is this. Sorry. Minimum is this, maximum is this. Is 25% quartile. This is 75% quartile. This is median of all the values. And here no outliers are there. Some element which is far away from the crowd, no. Here it is present, but you can see it's present. If I want to add outliers here, so you can see, for example, instead of this 22, I'll make it 92, 82. And now see. outlier, away from the crowd, outlier. Okay, here also outliers are there. Outliers can be below also. Means, for example, if this number is minus 82. Now see, it is here. It is shown below, very below is there. Outlier is far away from the crowd. So this is the method. I mean, this is what our outlier detection is possible. See, this plot is useful when you have to see many things in single instance, like the describe method that we use, where it shows everything: minimum value, maximum value, median value, 25%, 75%. Outliers are not shown by that, but box plot will show you the outliers, which are very useful to find, and even you can remove it. Removal is very easy. Maybe it's not the part of this all sessions, but just can use Boolean filtering. The values which are above 90, delete that, means discard that. Directly outliers can be deleted. So visualize it, and then we can perform operations of it. This is what we call as a different kind of plots that we have seen, which are working on the single dimensional elements only onto the array or the list, So many such functions, many such graphs are there. Few more remaining graphs are there. I'll show you that particular graphs at the in the second session, that is in Seaborn, advanced data visualization on data frame based with the help of Seaborn. Complex graphs are there. Using these graphs ahead, we're going to create another interactive and more useful graphs using Seaborn. Okay, so if I have any questions or doubts, so can ask.